In this episode of our MyFaction Beginner's Guide, which is brought to you and powered by 2K UK, we're going to cover the new evolution cards and how to evolve them. We're strengthening our team using some showcase rewards, and we're also delving into the new version of Faction Wars, which has undergone a massive upgrade. Before we jump into this week's topics, at the end of the previous episode, I set the challenge of completing the 2K Showcase mode, as completing Showcase rewards you with a special Showcase pack in MyFaction. After completing the showcase, your rewards can be found in the unopened pack section of the store tab, with these including two special showcase packs. The first of these is a Sapphire card pack containing 76 rated George the Animal Steel, a 77 Ken Shamrock and a 79 rated Asuka. The second pack is a Ruby card pack, with these containing more powerful cards, as we have an 80 rated Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, an 83 rated Shawn Michaels, and a set of 4 powerful women's cards with an 81 rated Becky, 82 Charlotte, 82 Bianca, and 82 Rhea Ripley. Thanks to these cards, this gives us a massive boost, as they're all higher than our current cards, so if you haven't yet completed Showcase, then I definitely recommend doing that, especially if you're just starting out. Before we add the new cards to our lineup, one feature that I wanted to cover in this episode is evolution cards, as this is a new card type in 2K24 which can evolve over time to increase a card's rating. Evolution cards are identified by the DNA icon, the amount of icons indicating how many times a card can be evolved. For example, the Grayson Waller card that we got in the starter pack features 3 stacked icons, with the bottom icon taking on the colour of the card's starting level, which in this case is green. The 2 icons above it indicate that the card can be evolved twice, as it'll first evolve into a Sapphire card, then into Ruby, where it'll achieve its highest rating. To evolve an evolution card, each card comes with its own set of requirements, with the Grayson Waller and Blade Davenport cards requiring you land 40 light attacks, 20 heavy attacks, and red head damage to 5 opponents. So to try and achieve this, we're going to keep both of these cards in our lineup and set the goal of evolving them to the next level. For the rest of the lineup, we're going to add in the showcase cards to give us a boost, as this dramatically improves the team and should make a big difference in multi-person matches, as we can tag in the higher rated cards when we need them. With our new cards added, today we're going to be trying out the new version of Faction Wars, which if you played the mode in previous games, then you'll be glad to know that this year's mode is completely different, as gone are the constant 8-man tag team matches, and in its place is a new path system which is filled with various match types, rewards and modifiers to make each playthrough unique. In order to start a Faction Wars session, you'll first need to have obtained 5 tickets to Faction Wars, as each playthrough costs 5 tickets to enter. When first setting up your faction, you'll receive 5 tickets to start with, though if you've already used these, you can earn more from the daily login rewards, challenges and live events. When starting a new Faction Wars session, you'll have to choose between the men's or women's division, with the division that you choose being entirely up to you, though bear in mind that any cards you unlock will be catered to that division. When selecting a division, you'll notice a credits rarity bonus on the right, with this percentage calculated based on the tier of cards in your lineup, as each tier will increase the bonus by a certain percentage, with the higher the cards, the higher the percentage, which in turn will lead to better rewards. For this playthrough, we're going to go with the men's division and try and complete the remaining objectives to evolve Grayson Waller. After selecting division, we're taken to the armour screen, as when starting out Faction Wars you'll be given a set of 4 armour cards which you can apply to your lineup. Applying these cards will give the selected player a 20% shield, though if you have a weaker card like Grayson Waller, rather than share the cards between superstars, you can actually double up and apply multiple shields to the same superstar, so in this case we'll apply 3 of these to Grayson to give him a 60% shield, and we'll give 1 to our second lowest card, which is Ken Shamrock. With the shield applied, the shield will absorb all of the damage taken until it reaches 0, at which point any damage that you take will be permanent and carry over from match to match. After confirming the selection, we're taken to the run screen, as this run will begin with a one-on-one match followed by a reward, and then another one-on-one match and a reward before we reach the final boss. As this is only stage 1, the run for this one is a single path. However, as we progress to stage 2 and beyond, we have a branching path where you'll have to make some decisions on which way to go. So let's get started with match number 1, as we're going to kick things off playing as Grayson Waller, where we find ourselves going up against a higher rated Drew McIntyre. In terms of the game plan, when playing Faction Wars, the best strategy is to try and win your matches as quick as possible so that you can take as little damage as you can, as this will help to save your health for future matches. While it's important to win the matches as quick as you can still take your time and pick up MFP for completing class objectives, so it's worth taking a moment to throw your opponent to the outside and perform a crowd and opponent taunt to get some points. As we're also trying to level up Grayson, I spent part of this match focusing on dealing light and heavy strikes to complete the objectives, as we needed a total of 40 light attacks and 20 heavy strikes, and those were pretty easy to complete as it didn't take long before the objective popped up to say it was completed. The final evolution objective of dealing red head damage is one that would take some time, as while it didn't take too long for this objective to complete against Drew, we still needed to do this with another 3 opponents to complete the objective. Because of this, once the objective completed against Drew, I went straight for a finisher and picked up the win, which then took us to the reward screen, as after completing a match you're given a selection of rewards that you can choose from. These rewards include the option of extra Faction Wars credits that you can use in the store, or the option to choose a reward card to join your lineup, as you can choose one of these cards to replace a superstar, which is a great option if you have someone on low health, or if you have a reward card that's significantly higher, though as these cards are low rated cards, I chose to go with the extra credits. After picking the match reward, we move on to the next stop on the path, which is the reward stop, where we're offered the chance of 10% armor or 145 credits. Taking a look at the armor that we have remaining, the 60% that we applied to Grayson at the start of the run is completely gone, and he's already lost some of his primary health, so I don't feel like the 10% armor would make much difference, so I decided to go for the credits. As we move on to the next stop, we have another one-on-one match, and given the low health of Grayson, for this one I decided to go with Shawn Michaels, and it proved to be a good decision as we ended up going up against a much higher rated Kurt Angle. For this match, as we didn't have to complete any evolution objectives, it was best to try and win this one as quick as possible, so I started by throwing Angle to the outside so that I could taunt and get some extra points. Then I went about making quick work of the match and getting it over as quick as possible so that it didn't take as much damage. Once the match was over, I had the option of choosing more credits or swapping in silver cards for Ludwig Kaiser or Karrion Kross, which was significantly better than the last cards that were offered, though they were still a lot lower rated, so once again I went for the credits. From here we moved on to the reward stop, which offered up a 4% armor card or a ruby side plate that was good for 15 matches, which the side plate was probably the better option in the long term, but to give Grayson a little bit of protection I went for the armor. With the armor applied, this took us on to the final match of Phase 1 and the Faction Boss, where we found ourselves going up against the Bloodline in an 8-man tag. Heading into this one, I decided to stick with Shawn Michaels as the starting superstar, as the game plan that I had was to use my highest card, which was Michaels, and target the opponent's head. Then after doing some damage, I would tag in Grayson Waller to continue the attack, and this allowed me to weaken the opponent first and then use Grayson to deal red damage, and using this method it didn't take long before we completed the evolution objective. With the objective complete, it was time to end the match, though before doing so, I realised a pretty useful trick for gaining extra points, as given that you can have 4 members on your team, you can tag in each member and complete the taunt objectives, as you can gain 30 points for doing crowd and opponent taunts with each member, as this gives you an easy 120 points. As for ending the match, it wasn't as simple as I thought it would be, as the partners kept running in to break up pinfalls and submissions, though as each member can only run in once until a tag has been made, eventually I was able to get a 3 count without them breaking it up. After defeating the faction boss, you're taken to the reward screen, where you get to choose one member of the faction to add to your lineup, so I went with Roman Reigns, and I swapped him in for Steamboat as his rating was pretty similar. Not only does defeating the faction boss allow you to choose a member to join your team, but it also unlocks these cards in the store, as now that we've defeated them, they're also able to be purchased using credits. By defeating the faction boss, this completed stage 1, and this gave us a completion reward of 210 guaranteed credits, as well as the option of a 74 rated Dusty Rhodes card or 16% armor, so to help complete the evolution challenge, I gave the armor to Grayson. With stage 1 complete, we moved on to stage 2, where you can see that the run for this stage features branching paths, as there's various points in this stage where we'll have to choose which direction that we want to go, which will lead us to different matches and different rewards. For the first match in the stage, we had to compete in a tag team ladder match, which is a match type that can prove to be dangerous, as if the opposing team use the ladders, they can deal some major damage, so the strategy on this one was to win as quickly as possible, so I threw the opponents to the outside and quickly scaled the ladder to grab the belt. Heading to the reward screen, as we're now in stage 2, the reward cards were a lot better, as we had the option of a gold Sheamus or a 74 rated Cody, though I decided to stick with the same lineup and take the credits, though if I wasn't doing the evolution challenge, I'd have probably swapped in Cody for Grayson. After selecting the reward, we hit our first choice node, where we were given 3 options to choose from, with these all coming with pros and cons, as they included the positive of increasing superstar attributes, gaining credits, or random side plates, while the cons included losing 10, 25 or 50% vitality on a random superstar. Playing kind of safe, I went for the credits option, which gave 75 extra credits, but also took away 25% vitality from Roman. After losing vitality, the next node that we actually encountered was a vitality replenishment mode, which gives us the option of choosing to recover some limb damage or earn extra credits. In this situation, I would have chose to recover limb damage, though as the limb card was for an arm and none in the lineup had any arm damage, it didn't make any sense, so I went for the credits. Continuing on the path, our next stop seen a 3-on-3 tag team match, so for this one I used the same method as before and had our highest card deal some head damage, then I tagged in Grayson to complete the damage objective and I repeated the same strategy again against Big E, which allowed me to complete the objective for the 5th time, which completed the steps needed for the evolution. With that done, the plan was to end the match as quick as possible, though things soon went south as I attempted a spear without enough stamina, and that allowed Big E to deliver a big ending and pick up the win, which brought about an end to our run. It wasn't all bad though, as upon returning to the menu we unlocked the first evolution for Grayson Waller, which seen the card evolve from a 71 rated Emerald card to a 75 rated Sapphire card. The run itself also rewarded us with 660 Faction Wars credits, which can be used to buy cards from the exchange, though given the prices we'll have to do this a few more times. So that's the first look at the new and improved Faction Wars, which is a big improvement over the old mode, as this version keeps things feeling fresh with different matches and different match types and plenty of rewards and choices to make, which for me make it the best part of my faction, as it makes for a good challenge and it's one that you can sit back and play through in a single setting or take your time and do it over several days as your progress is saved from match to match so that you don't have to complete it in one go. So that's our beginner's guide to my faction and an overview of the different modes within it, but if you're looking for a final tip, then like Showcase mode, make sure to complete the My Rise story, as doing so will grant you a My Rise bonus pack featuring extra cards. So let me know what you make of Faction Wars in the comments and how you got on in your first attempt. Thank you so much for watching, have yourself an awesome day, and I'll catch you later.